In 1672, an intruder vanished through what appeared to be a solid castle wall. A Japanese court record confirms it. That wall pivoted on a hidden iron axle, one piece of an escape network Shinobi engineered into the fortress itself. Hollowed pillars still bearing 85% of their load. Counterweighted trapdoors capable of moving 300 men under siege. Every polished surface, a potential machine, and none of it was meant to be found. A palace floor, at first glance, is nothing but polished wood, until the Shinobi ledger tells us otherwise. In the Edo Castle payroll from 1610, an entire line is devoted to floorboard concealment specialists, and their stipends were quietly buried among the usual carpenters and guards. The name Hirose Gensuke appears in a 1658 diary, not as a swordsman, but as a master of nails and silence. His craft was the Nightingale floor, a layered assembly of hinoki planks, bamboo lattice, and felt, engineered not to betray the weight of a careful step. The mechanics are precise. Each removable plank sits in a mortise and tenon groove, locked from beneath by wooden pegs trimmed flush. The bamboo sublayer flexes under pressure, while a strip of lacquered felt absorbs the impact, reducing the sharpness of each footfall. Gensuke's diary records the routine: inspections every 7th moon, gold nails placed at the base, each one set to rub against its clamp only if the wrong weight is applied. The effect is a floor that can be silent or sing, depending on who passes. Later acoustic tests on preserved boards show a reduction in footstep noise of just under half a decibel, enough to mask movement in a crowded hall, though folklore inflates the figure to 9. Still, the real balance lies in the design. The boards remain strong enough to support a dozen armored men, yet light enough to be lifted in seconds, opening a hidden route beneath. In these floors, the Shinobi made the first layer of escape, a horizontal path that could vanish underfoot, its secret kept in plain timber and the quiet logic of the payroll ledger. Inside Osaka Castle, during the siege of 1614, a team of eager trained craftsmen worked through the night, chiseling the heart out of hinoki pillars that held up the main keep. Their goal was radical. They carved a vertical shaft wide enough for a grown man to slip through, yet left the pillar strong enough to bear the weight of stone and timber above. The Osaka carpenter's diary, preserved in the siege map archives, describes the process in measured strokes, adze and auger, each pass hollowing a core just 15 centimeters across, stopping short of the outer shell. What remains is a wooden tube, its wall barely 5 centimeters thick, running the length of a support column. This is not mere vandalism. Calculations from modern finite element models confirm what these carpenters knew, by feel, even hollowed. A hinoki pillar retains about 85% of its original load-bearing strength. The secret lies in the grain's continuity and the pillar's geometry. Its strength is not in the solid core, but in the unbroken ring of wood that resists buckling and shear. Internal iron bands, hidden beneath lacquer, reinforce the shell, while a lining of lime and sawdust plaster guards against rot and fire. Access is managed by a removable wooden plug at the base, fitted so precisely that it can be lifted from inside without leaving a trace on the surface. The plug's grain matches the pillars, and a thin bead of shikui plaster seals the seam. When the moment comes, a shinobi or retainer can vanish into the shaft, descending by rope or ladder into the bowels of the castle, bypassing walls and locked gates above. The pillar becomes a silent corridor, a vertical artery in the fortress's hidden anatomy. Here, static timber is transformed into a living mechanism, strong, silent, and waiting for the hand that knows where to press. A single memorandum from Fushimi Castle, dated 1634, dismantles any lingering myth that these escape systems were improvised or left to chance. The document outlines a full-scale evacuation drill led by a Shinobi squad, not a lone agent, but a coordinated team with each member assigned to a specific trapdoor or corridor. The drill's choreography reads less like a martial tale and more like a mechanical ballet. At the signal, 30 concealed panels beneath the storehouse floor pivoted open, each counterweighted with a stone block hidden in the adjacent joist. Hinges carved from hinoki and capped with iron swung silently, their pivot points masked in the grain of the wood. The memo's tally is precise. Over 300 retainers evacuated in under 7 minutes, each routed through a hidden passage mapped in advance by the Shinobi. Every panel was designed to bear the weight of 2 armored men, the counterweight calibrated so a single guard could lift the trapdoor with one hand even under duress. The report praises the silent operation of the mechanism and the unbroken pace of the squad, noting that not a single retainer was left behind or injured in the controlled chaos. This was not mere showmanship. The trapdoor system's reliability depended on the interplay between human precision and mechanical resilience. Each Shinobi moved in concert with the architecture, timing their actions to the rhythm of falling panels and shifting floorboards. The evacuation drill transformed static timber into a responsive, living escape machine. Proof that, under the Shinobi's direction, even the most rigid palace could become a fluid space of survival. A sworn statement from 1626, preserved in the Naijo Castle Judicial Archives, places a carpenter identified as the Shinobi master of the Western Wing before a panel of magistrates. His testimony describes not a weapon, but a wall, a timber segment indistinguishable from its neighbors, mounted on an iron axle sunk deep into the floor's core. The entire panel pivots with a push, swinging silently to reveal a passage wide enough for a grown retainer to slip through. The axle, hammered from wrought iron and set into a bronze sleeve, bears the full weight of the wall, over 150 kilograms, without groaning or flexing. Calculations from modern reconstructions confirm the stress on the bearing never exceeds 1/5 of what the metal can withstand, even after years of use. The finish matches the surrounding lacquer, hiding every seam. No latch is visible, the lock is disguised as a decorative bracket. The carpenter's account, under oath, details how the load transfers from axle to floor beams, ensuring the entire structure remains rigid even as the wall swings free. This is not a trick door, but a feat of spatial engineering, a public chamber that, under the right hand, becomes an invisible exit. Here, the Shinobi's genius is not in vanishing, but in making the very fabric of the palace complicit in escape. In 1632, the Kaga Carpenter's Treatise laid out a blueprint for what it called networked corridors, a lattice of hidden routes, each mapped with geometric precision. A marginal note, penned in brush, directs the reader to consult eager techniques for the hinge, a nod to the region's reputation for clandestine engineering. Matsui Kenta, listed as a master secret door carpenter, appears in both the treatise and the Osaka siege ledger, his role bridging manuscript theory and practical deployment. The treatise prescribes trapdoor intervals every 3.5 meters, counterweighted by a 20-kilogram stone, matched with hinge placements that vanish into the grain. Centuries later, a university scan team swept Himeji Castle with laser point clouds, revealing voids and post alignments beneath the main keep. The anomalies repeat at regular intervals, 1.2 meters by 0.6 meters, spaced exactly as the treatise dictates. These are not random cavities or accidental gaps, but a patterned substructure, their spacing too uniform for chance. The hinge anomaly flagged in the scan lines, up with the treatise's call for a concealed pivot, echoing the IGA reference in both intent and execution. Here, manuscript and material converge. The corridors do not exist as isolated tricks, but as a deliberate, repeatable system. an engineered network whose logic can be traced from ink diagrams to the measured voids beneath centuries-old timber. The Shinobi's invisible hand is rendered visible, not by rumor or legend, but by the cold alignment of plan and proof. A judicial transcript from 1672, preserved in the Cambridge University Library, breaks the silence around these hidden corridors. In the record, a samurai defendant stands accused of unauthorized entry into a lord's residence. Under questioning, he admits he was caught off guard. He said, "I did not discover the hidden corridor and was startled by the shinobi's trap." The court's written response does not question the existence of such a passage. It simply acknowledges the event. The testimony describes a moment of confusion, the intruder stepping where there should have been only solid floor, only to find himself in a narrow, pitch-dark tunnel. The magistrates, rather than dismissing the account as fantasy, enter it into the official record. For the first time, the legal system itself confirms that these covert systems were not just theoretical, not just the stuff of manuals or rumor, but operational realities. The transcript locks speculation into fact, a living person, under oath, admitting defeat at the hands of architecture designed to vanish beneath his feet. The shinobi's invisible hand, so often hidden behind layers of timber and lacquer, is now set in ink, a matter of law as much as legend. Today, modern architects still borrow from these invisible blueprints, embedding emergency corridors and covert exits in secure facilities worldwide. The shinobi's legacy endures every time a wall conceals more than it shows. Security isn't just about strength, it's about foresight built into every silent hinge and hidden line.